New Japan Pro Wrestling's FinJuice, that's right, David Finley and Juice Robinson will be on Impact Wrestling this coming Tuesday. The Forbidden Door is well and truly open. Welcome to SCW here on YouTube.com. Thank you for choosing the channel and choosing the video. Please subscribe right now. Leave any comments in the comment section. Please like and share the video as well. As I mentioned, a shocking conclusion after the main event on Impact Wrestling's No Surrender last night. We will be seeing New Japan Pro Wrestling stars David Finley and Juice Robinson on Impact this Tuesday, which just goes to show we've known already that Impact and AEW are working together. We've seen that. We've seen as well that AEW and New Japan appear to be working together. It now shows quite clearly that Impact and New Japan could be working together as well, which means all three companies working together could just be one of the most exciting things we have seen in the wrestling business for many, many years. And of course, this all started through Tony Khan saying about the Forbidden Door being open. We know AEW have filed trademarks as well, including Forbidden Door, Forbidden Portal, and of course, a Battle of the Belts. Are we going to get some supercard shows coming somewhere down the line when the pandemic sort of, the restrictions completely loosen and everybody can be under the same roof at the same time? Perhaps we'll get dream cards, dream matches, dream case scenarios that we couldn't even imagine could be happening through these three companies. Of course, it all started, you could say, with Tony Khan, of course, with the Impact Wrestling relationship. You look back at Winter is Coming, of course, with Don Callis and Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega being on Impact Wrestling. The Good Brothers aligning themselves with Kenny Omega to go onto AEW Dynamite. We've very recently seen Kenta from New Japan Pro Wrestling appear on Dynamite to heavily build the New Japan program that we've got for the IWGP United States Championship. Of course, Kenta's been the #1 contender for a long time, and the champion John Moxley, who is a part of the AEW roster, has not been able to be a part of New Japan for a very long time. So they've been able to build that match through Dynamite this last week or so with the fantastic Lights Out Falls Count Anywhere tag team match. Of course, it was Kenta and Kenny Omega against John Moxley and Lance Archer. There's so many layers to this of what we can see, and when you look as well with the idea of Impact and New Japan here, this isn't the first time we've seen the companies working together in recent times. Chris Bay and TJP were a part of the Super J Cup this past December as well. So it shows really we've had subtle hints the whole way through, but lots of companies seem to be working together here, and it makes an exciting idea of what could be happening going forward. And I, for one, am very excited about the prospect. This reminds me of wrestling back in the 90s, things that you just couldn't see coming from week to week. You had ideas of what you thought was going to happen, but then a big swerve would happen and you'd be shocked because something would happen that you just couldn't see coming from a mile away. It was so unpredictable back in the 90s. Let's give a couple of examples, shall we? Let's look when WWE and WCW were going in the Monday Night Wars head-to-head. On the recorded WWE was Rick Rude, going then to appear on the same night on WCW on live TV when he defected, left WWE and joined WCW to join the NWO. It's one of the most shocking things that I think happened in the Monday Night Wars. Of course, when the NWO began, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash left WWE to go to WCW. That was a big shock at the time, seeing Scott Hall turn up on Monday Nitro for Kevin Nash to turn up a couple of weeks later. Those were two major stars at the time in WWE going to WCW. And of course, it did happen the other way as well. Chris Jericho having one of the greatest WWE debuts in my personal opinion of all time. Of course, the Y2J Bug having that one-on-one exchange with The Rock as well. And it was an absolute epic moment when that happened. And you look to the year 2000, of course, when the Radicals turned up in the crowd. Of course, it was Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, Perry Saturn, all coming to sit into the crowd. They defected, then left WCW to then come over the barricades to then have the rivalry with D-Generation X and signing with WWE. Those were some epic moments. But you look at those things of what was shock value of that back in the 90s and the early noughties. That was when companies weren't working together. Those were doing things that were shock value there. In this circumstance, these companies are working together to give the best possible scenario. And you look at WCW, for example, back in the 90s, they had some of their talents working in New Japan. They had New Japan stars like the Great Muta, Jushin Thunder Liger, Masachono, all coming to WCW. In fact, two of the three of them there were part of the NWO. So there has been working relationships as well with New Japan in the past. It's great to see that AEW are doing it now, and Impact Wrestling as well. We've seen all sorts of things happen in just early stages, little subtle teases and hints of it here and there. Like I said, we've seen Kenta go to AEW. We've seen Private Party just last night going for the Impact Tag Team Championships. Who knows where it's going to go next, but what I will say is what an exciting time to be a fan of pro wrestling and to be a fan of these three promotions. Like I said, the forbidden door is well and truly open, and who knows where it's going to lead to next. For me, the idea of FinJuice against the Good Brothers for the Impact Tag Team Championships sounds like a match that I must see, that I'm really excited about the prospect of. Maybe it's going to be part of the March special that we could have on Impact Plus. Maybe it could be part of Rebellion in April. Who knows? But what we will know is we have to tune in to Impact Wrestling this upcoming Tuesday to see what the next layer of the story is going to be and what is going to happen next with this Forbidden Door. Maybe more superstars are going to walk through it. Impact Wrestling in general in 2021 has seen a lot of stars come into the company that we hadn't seen come before. Black Taurus from AAA has come in. Only last week, we've seen Matt Cardona. We've seen so many superstars come into Impact Wrestling already in 2021. And what's to say that we won't see other superstars from other companies coming in as they've got this seemingly this working relationship going forward. It's a very, very exciting time. But that's just a quick upload for me today, just to say that this is a great period right now, and I think that this could be one of the best things that could go on for years. I love the fact that this has been slowly built as well. We're getting a subtle tag team here, a single star there. We're not doing everything in one go, and at some point I quite like to see the idea of companies going in full head-to-head warfare like the classic Invasion angles, but done over a course of years, booked correctly, rather than just, doing everything at once, and then of course then the big blowout happens, and then within a few months the rivalry's finished, and what you thought could have been ends up being slightly disappointing. I don't think we're going to get that here. I mean, if you look at things, especially from the AEW perspective, you could say, Tony Khan, he's not just a businessman, he is a wrestling fan. His idea is that he's trying to give fans something that they just haven't seen before, something that they could dream about. He said last week about the Forbidden Door being open on Impact Wrestling, and he said that he's got a taste for it. He wants to see lots of it. Who knows what's going to happen next? We've even seen NWA on Dynamite with some of their stars like, Serena Deeb, the current NWA Women's Champion, who's arguably a part of the AEW roster, but Thunder Rosa, of course, is a part of the NWA roster, but is competing on AEW on a weekly basis as a part of this #1 contenders tournament. So who knows what could be next around the corner? Could Ring of Honor join the party? Of course, they previously have worked with New Japan Pro Wrestling in the past. In fact, David Finley was a part of the Pure Rules tournament just, recent times. I think it was the end of last summer, I think, was when that tournament started off, or towards the start of the autumn season. So it's not so long ago that David Finley was competing in Ring of Honor. In fact, both him and Juice Robinson were part of Lifeblood, the faction that was built in Ring of Honor before the pandemic started. So perhaps we're not going to see them go back to it. Who knows what could happen? But there's certainly lots of prospects, a lot of exciting matchups. I'd like to know in the comments section below what matches you would really like to see with these three companies working together. What are the real dream matches? And let's not forget as well, you can go and check out my other videos that I've done already. AEW versus Impact Wrestling dream matches and AEW versus New Japan Pro Wrestling dream matches are available for you on the channel now. I guess I'm going to have to get working on an Impact Wrestling versus New Japan Pro Wrestling video, aren't I? Something that I'll probably drop for you on the channel very soon. But that's all from me anyway. Thank you very much for watching. I wasn't going to do a video today, but after seeing that at the end of No Surrender, how could I not? I couldn't keep away, could I? But I hope you enjoy NXT TakeOver this evening. If you're an NXT fan, of course, those predictions are on the channel for you now. And of course, Ask SCW was released one day early this week. It was released on Saturday, so it's already on the channel. Go and check that out now if you haven't already. But that's all from me. As you can see, a very excited wrestling fan here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I look forward to interacting with you. Take care. Have yourselves a great day. You've been watching SCW here on YouTube.